So good morning all of you. Today we will continue with the civics chapter. What is democracy? Why democracy? Now during the course of this chapter we have already seen that what democracy is, and if you remember we started with a basic definition of democracy, and through discussion, through various stories from different places in the world, we have got the 4 features of democracy. Then after knowing what is democracy, then we studied that why democracy is considered to be the best form of government, and why people throughout the world they are following it, and so many countries which were not democratic countries earlier, now they are also becoming democratic countries. And so when we started that, we had some discussion in the class, and we also came to know about some of the basic demerits or the arguments against democracy, and then we started with the arguments in favor of or the merits of democracy, and we have done 3 merits till now. If you remember, the first one was that a democratic government is a better government because it is a more accountable form of government, because people have selected and not selected people, because people have elected that government and the power lies in the hand of the people. Alright, that if the government will not work for the welfare of the people, then obviously they can change the government when the next term comes. And so democratic government, they, even if they don't want to work, still they are forced to work for the welfare of the people. Then we have already we also had a look at the second merit of democracy, that it improves the quality of decision making, because it is just not one head taking all the decisions. It is so many people at different levels with so many debates and consultations, and thus what happens, not only one point of view we have in front of us, because people, all of us have different point of views. We look at the same thing with different angles, and so when there are so many people, so we also get to know that what would be the possible mistakes, and then we can try not to do those mistakes. And then the third and the last merit of democracy that we did was that democracy provides a method to deal with differences and conflicts. And society, in any society there are bound to be conflicts. There will be always people, alright, would be different, and in our country being so diverse, and here people live in so many different regions, speak so many different languages, follow so many different religions and cultures, and so there's so much diversity, and in such a case the preferences of one group, they can clash with the other. Now, how do we resolve such a conflict? Now, one way is that we can do it with power, alright, brutal power. Those who are in majority, those who are more powerful, they can dictate the terms, and they can dominate the other people and make them follow their wishes. But in this way, what will happen, that the different groups, they will not be able to live together. The unity of the country, that would be undermined. And so because people will not be happy, so time will come when they want to break away, and they want to make a separate state for themselves. So this can be possible if we solve this problem by brutal power. But democracy, it provides the only peaceful solution to this problem. And what is that? In a democracy, no one is a permanent winner and no one is a permanent loser. Who is today on winner side can tomorrow land up in the loser side, because in democracy power changes hands. And so this changing of power in a diverse country like India, it keeps, so what we can say, that democracy keeps our country together. So these 3 arguments we have already done. Now we move on. Now these 3 arguments that we have done till now, they were about the effect of democracy on the quality of government, what is the quality of government, and on the social life. But the strongest argument in favor of democracy, or we can say the strongest merit of democracy is not what democracy does to the government, it is what democracy does to the citizens. Now even if democracy does not bring about a better outcome, or it is not the most accountable form of government, but still it is better than all the other forms of government that we know. Why? Because it enhances the dignity of citizens. We have already discussed earlier that democracy is based on the principle of political equality, that everyone has one vote and each vote has equal value. So what we can say is that the poorest and even the least educated person in our country has the same status as the rich or the most educated person. And in a democracy, people are not subjects, they are not under a ruler, but they are the ruler themselves. Because what is democracy? Yes, class, what is democracy? In basic terms, what is democracy?
Ma'am, democracy is a form of government in which the rulers are elected by the people.
Your voice is quite soft, Saad. Be a little loud.
Ma'am, democracy is a form of government in which the rulers are elected by the people.
Okay, the rulers are elected by the people, but just in the basic terms, what we can say is, what he said is right, that it is the rule of the people. Democracy, a rule of the people. In basic terms, it is rule of the people. So the people are not subjects. They are not ruled over by someone, but they are the rulers themselves. Because we don't elect people from somewhere else. We elect people from among ourselves only. So, some are ruling directly, those we choose, and those who form the government, they are ruling directly. But we as voters, we are also ruling, but indirectly. So, people are not subject to anyone. They are not under anyone, but they are the rulers themselves. And even when the people, they make mistakes, so they are also responsible for their own mistakes. And finally, the argument in favor of democracy is that it is better than other forms of government. Why? Because it allows us to correct its own mistakes. Now, we have already seen that there is no guarantee that mistakes will not be made in a democracy, and that is true of all the other forms of government also. No government can guarantee that there will not be mistakes, alright? But the advantage in a democracy is that if you made such a mistake, now those mistakes would not be hidden for long. Why? Because in a democracy there will be free press. Alright? And we have elected the people, so they are accountable to us. And if they go on making mistakes, then what will happen? We will not elect them in the next elections. And people, they can also put pressure on the governments through movements and through pressure groups. So basically what happens, these mistakes, they cannot be hidden for long in a democracy. And then many times you must have seen on televisions and all, there is discussion on everything that the government is doing, and so there is a space also for discussion of the mistakes which are made by the government, and so there is also a room for correction. So there are two options: either the rulers, if they made a mistake, so they have to change their decisions, or if they don't rectify that, correct that, then what will happen? The rulers will be changed, the rulers can be changed. Now this cannot happen in a non-democratic government. This could happen in only a democratic government. So to sum it up, why democracy is considered the best form of government? We know that democracy cannot get us everything. And obviously, it is not a magical solution to all the problems that the countries face. But it is clearly, through all the discussion that we have done in the chapter, we know that it is better than all the other forms of government that we know. First, it offers better choices of a good decision. Then it also respects people's wishes. Then it allows different kind of people to live together peacefully, unitedly. And even when it fails to do some of these things, still it allows a way of correcting its own mistakes and offers more dignity to a citizen, and that is why democracy is considered to be the best form of government. Now, you get straight questions on these arguments in favor of democracy. Like you can get that why democracy is said to be a more accountable form of government, or they can ask you a democratic government is a better government because it is a more accountable form of government. Explain. So whatever is written in this whole paragraph, that you will have to write as you answer. Like they can ask you, democracy enhances the dignity of citizens. Elucidate, explain how it does that. So whatever is given in that particular paragraph, you will have to write that. And if you get a question that why democracy is considered the best form of government, so this last paragraph that we did just now, let's sum it up. That particular one, democracy cannot get us everything, that will be your answer to this particular questions. So you can get questions like that also. Let's move on. Broader meanings of democracy. Now, in this particular chapter, we have studied about democracy, the meaning of democracy in a means we have not learned about it in a very, you could say, broad manner, but obviously we did it in a limited and a descriptive manner, and we have understood democracy as how it is a form of government, and then this way, like we defined democracy during the course of this chapter, and it helped us to have bare minimum features which a democracy must have. We had so much discussion and we studied the stories of so many countries, and we got the 4 features of democracy. Now we have got all that from the chapter till now, and the most common form of democracy that we have in these particular times is that of representative democracy. Now what is representative democracy? Yes, class 9th, what is representative democracy? The name is clear in itself. Yes?
Ma'am, where the people are represented by their representatives.
Alright.
Ma'am, they elect their representatives through elections.
Right. So, we elect our representatives through elections and they rule us on our behalf. So that is the representative form of democracy, because we cannot have a direct form of democracy. What is direct form of democracy? Does anyone know that?
Ma'am, where the decisions are made collectively in groups.
Alright, where all the eligible voters, alright, they get together and then they take decisions. But in big democracies, that is not possible. Now consider India. It is such a huge country. Now is it possible that all the eligible voters of the country, or leave alone India, take only the case of our state, Uttar Pradesh, can all the people, all the eligible voters in our state come together, sit in one place and discuss and deliberate? Do you think it is physically possible?
No, ma'am.
No. That is why we have this representative democracy, because that is not possible. But still at the Gram Sabha level, that is what we follow. In the Gram Sabhas, in the villages, the local government bodies, Gram Sabha is an example of a direct democracy. There all the eligible voters of a particular village, they form the Gram Sabha, and then they discuss. Okay. So, in a representative form of government, that is what we are doing. A majority is allowed, they make decisions on the behalf of the rest of the people, and even we can say that majority is also not ruling directly, because majority is only electing, they are ruling indirectly, and the majority of people, they are ruling indirectly, but they rule through their elected representatives. And why? Because in modern democracy, this we have already done, so many people are involved that physically it is not possible for all of them to sit together and take a collective decision. And even if it is possible that we can make all the people sit together, but the people may not have the time, they may not like it, they may not have the desire or the required skills to take decisions on behalf of the people. And so what we can say is that this gives us a clear picture, but only a minimal understanding of democracy. And whatever clarity we have got through this chapter, it helps us to distinguish between democracy and a non-democracy. And but it still does not allow us to distinguish between a democracy and a good democracy. So from this chapter, whatever knowledge we have got, we can distinguish between a democracy, that okay, this is democracy, this is not democracy. But we cannot distinguish between a good democracy and a simple democracy. And it also does not allow us to see how democracy operates beyond government. Democracy is not only limited to government, it goes beyond, it has a much wider meaning. And so for this we need to turn to the broader meanings of democracy. Now sometimes we use democracy for organizations other than the government also. So just let us read some of these statements here. Why not three of you read one point here each? Saad, why don't you read the first one? Yes, do you people have your books with you?
Yes.
Okay, yes Saad, read the first one.
Ma'am, I am not having the book.
Who is having the book here? Yes, class? Now this is not good. Some of you don't have books, some of you don't want to read. Now this.
Mama, I'm having book.
Okay, then you read, beta. Shivika? Katyayani? Whoever has the book, read it.
Yes, ma'am.
Then read. Start. Come on, what is the problem?
Modern democracy involves such a large number of people that it is physically impossible for them
No,
to
not
sit
from
together
there.
and take.
Not from there. Turn the page. We are where you have the 3 blue boxes. Read that. We are a very democratic family. Read that.
We have a very democratic family. Whenever a decision has to be taken, we all sit down and arrive at a consequence. My opinion matters such as much as my father's.
Okay. So, we have certain statements here, and in these statements we we use democracy other than government. So the first is that we sometimes say we are a very democratic family. Why? Because whenever we need to take a decision, so all the family members, we sit down and we discuss and deliberate, and in our family matters my decision has equal importance as compared to my father. So all of us have an equal say in the decision making process. So this is the meaning of the first statement. Second one, read it.
I don't like teachers who do not allow students to speak and ask questions in the class. I would like to have teachers with democratic temperament.
Alright.
Temperament.
Yes, some students might say that they don't like teachers. Sometimes I don't think so. Sometimes it could happen. They are saying that now this is hypothetical, that a student saying that they don't like teachers, who don't allow students to speak in the class and to ask questions. Alright, and so the view of this particular student is that this particular student would like to have teachers with a democratic temperament, democratic attitude, where they will let the students also speak up, where they will listen to queries and questions of the students and solve it. So that is also one way of how you can use democracy. And the last one here,
One leader and his family members decide everything in this party. How can they talk of democracy?
Alright, so when we talk about politics, we say that there's only one leader and only his family, and they are deciding everything. Though the party is so big, but other people, they don't have a say. Only he himself and his and his family members, they only have a say. Now, and when you are doing that, then how can you talk of democracy? So now this way of using the word democracy, it basically goes back to its basic sense of taking a decision. Now, what is this democratic way of taking a decision? Now, that way involves consulting, discussing with everyone, and then whatever decision you take, it is through the consent and approval of everyone. So whenever you need to take a decision, what would be a democratic decision? That you consult everyone who is to be affected by it, you consult them, and then whatever decision is taken, it is taken by the approval and by the consent of everyone. And because those who are affected, those who will be affected by the result, obviously if I need to be affected by something, then I also must have a say in the decision making process. And so basically what we mean to say is in this democratic way of decision making, that not only those who are powerful, only they have a say, but even those who are not powerful, they also have the same say in making a decision as those who are powerful. And so this principle of democracy can also be applied not only to government but to all the other spheres of life. Also to any sphere of life we can apply this principle of democracy. Now sometimes we also use the word democracy not only to describe the existing government, but also for an ideal setup, that what we think ideally a democracy should be. And so sometimes people say that true democracy, now that will only come to a country when all people go to bed fed, well fed. Means when no one goes to bed hungry, then only real democracy would be in the country. Then there's also one more thing, that democracy, ideal democracy would be when every citizen, they have an equal role in decision making. Obviously in our country we have political equality, that means everyone has equal vote and every vote has equal value. But but the people who go out to give votes, all of them do not have the equal information. Alright, and they do not have the basic equal information, and they do not, many times so many do not even have the basic education, they are not even literate, and they don't have equal resources, and then some are committed only for their welfare, they don't worry about the rest of the people also. And so what an ideal democracy would be, that every citizen would be able to play equal role in decision making. And how that would be possible? That every citizen, they will have equal information, basic education, equal resources, and also commitment to make their country better. Now if we look at these ideas, then obviously we can call no country in the world as a democracy. But yet the understanding of democracy as an ideal, it basically reminds us that why we value democracy so much. And it enables us to judge an existing democracy, and then it basically helps us to judge the democracy that we have, and then also to find out the weaknesses that we have, and it also helps us to distinguish between a minimal democracy and a good democracy. Now in this book, obviously we do not deal much with this expanded notion of democracy or this broader meaning of democracy, and our focus here is mainly with the main institutional features of democracy as a form of government. And next year obviously you will read more about it, but at this stage we just simply need to know that democracy can apply not only to government but also other spheres of life, and that democracy, it can take many forms. and there can be various ways of taking a democratic decision. The basic principle should be followed. And what is the principle? The basic principle of consultation on an equal basis. Now, we have already discussed that the most common form of democracy that is followed throughout the world is through our elected representatives, and we shall read, obviously we'll read about it more in the next few chapters. But we have, and this also we have done that when community is small, then we can take other forms of democratic decisions only, and they have given the examples of Gram Sabha also here, that Gram Sabha can work on the principle of that, and in our country Gram Sabha works on that principle. So basically what we can conclude is that no country is a perfect democracy, and the features of democracy that we have discussed in this chapter, they only provide us with minimum conditions of our democracy, and so we have only minimum conditions of democracy. Now that does not make a country or that democracy an ideal democracy, but at the same time every democracy, they should try to realize this ideal of democracy. They need to work towards it, and this cannot be achieved once for all, that today you take democratic decision and that is the end. Okay, you are an ideal democracy. No, it does not happen like that. This requires constant effort, and so that you build up and you strengthen the democratic form of decision making. And in this, not only the government has a part, but what we do as citizens, now that also makes a lot of difference to make our country more democratic or less democratic. So it is not only the government, but it also depends on the citizens, and this is said to be the strength and weakness of democracy, that the fate, the destiny of the country depends not only on what the government is doing or what the rulers are doing, but mainly it depends on what we, the citizens, do. And this is what distinguishes democracy from the other forms of government. Now, other forms of government like monarchy, dictatorship, military rule, one party rule, obviously, they don't want citizens to take part in politics. And in fact, most of the non-democratic government, they don't like citizens taking part in the decision making process. But democracy, on the other hand, it depends on active participation of the people. And now that is a study, that is why a study of democracy, it should focus on democratic politics. So here in the last paragraph, one more very important question: what is the strength and weakness of democracy? Alright, so you get it from this, that what we do as citizens, it can make a difference to making a country more or less democratic, and the fate of the country, it depends not only on what the rulers do, but mainly on what we as citizens do in the country. Okay, so that was the chapter. Have you all understood what we did today? Is it clear to all
Yes,
of you?
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Alright, so when we'll meet again, we will discuss the question answers of this chapter.